write in 1990s in high school, and I published my first book in 1998 when I received one of the Croatian biggest prizes for poetry for young poets, and the prize was a published manuscript. So that was my beginning and my first book. Many Croatian poets have inspired me, and also Slovene and Serbian. But I will just say a few names that are maybe more known European poets, such as Paul Celan or Adam Zagajewski or Wisława Szymborska. So I don't know, so many authors that I can't just simply put out of the context of the whole literatures.
Writing process.
Usually it happens when I have more time for myself, and when this leisure time occurs in my life, which is quite rarely. But it's the time when I'm alone with the books that I read, and it's the time when I'm more aware of of what can happen in my dialoguing as a reader with these books, and then sometimes what happens is this meeting with a text of another, and in this meeting I start to write. This is usually something that's a trigger of my writing. So reading other authors is the best trigger for writing my poems.
What are you thinking about the actual Croatian poetry?
It's really heterogenic. There are so many diverse ways of writing right now. I cannot say that there is a dominant poetics or dominant way of writing right now in Croatian poetry. You can see that there are many different, poets from different generations that are really vivid in their writing. They're changing constantly, and I think that there is somehow a good tradition of reading each other. So older poets are reading younger, and vice versa, of course. And in their new texts, in their new writings, you can see that there was a history of close reading of texts of other poets. And the scene is flourishing right now. There are lots of younger poets that are really interesting. That they do not gather. They don't want to gather around some core. They are going in different directions. They are experimenting. They are searching for their ways of writing, of their voice. So it's really nice to be on this scene, which is now really live, really alive. Translating poetry is a really difficult job, I think, and in my case, I can say for my book was translated by two excellent translators, Vanda Mikšić and Brankica Radić, my book in French, and they were working with also a French poet, Jean de Brenne and Catherine Bedarida, who doesn't know Croatian language. So it's important that you find several readers who will check how the text functions. So I think that it's best that poetry is translated by several people. Or that one translator has several personas in himself or in herself. I think that it's a beautiful thing to see your own poem in other language. I don't think that something is actually lost in translation, although probably most people would say that poetry is untranslatable. I think that translations widen the world of poetry, that they bring something new and fresh into the poetry that is written in original language, and I would always say that it's rather it's more enriching process than limiting process, the translation of poetry.
You translate also? You are a translator also?
Yes. I'm translating Romanian poetry and prose into Croatian with my husband Adrian Okroju, who is also a poet, a writer, and so we meet between languages somehow, because his maternal language is Romanian, mine is Croatian, and this is what I also I think it's a good to be. That you have two maternal languages at one table, so to say. You can be sure that the translation sounds as it should sound in another language. Also, since we both read poetry a lot and we are poetry lovers, so to say, that is also, I think, important, because we can go always in a search for a particular sound or a particular nuance that Adrian, for example, sees in a particular Romanian poet, and I can transpose this in a certain Croatian phrase, in a certain I can give it shape in Croatian language, maybe better than, of course, better than I would do it by myself alone.
Is poetry a need for the others?
Yes, I would say that poetry is. I mean, maybe the music is the art that gathers people the most in the easiest way, because of course you don't need language to translate the music, but I think that poetry can do a lot in shaping a qualitative dialogue between people and somehow overpassing conflicts and problems that would never be overpassed or resolved in so-called normal language or communicative language. I think that the poetry is a kind of a door that sometimes cannot be opened easily, but since you put all your efforts, all your concentrations, and somehow all your gentleness towards a text, towards a world that this text brings, that is in the same time and I would say a pacifist action. So you are reaching towards the other in a way that would never be possible to happen if it's not through poetry. Vuk I breza. Mi vidimo šumu I vidimo stabla, ali ne vidimo jednog u brezu presvučenog vuka. A tako ga zovemo jer ima zelene iglice u očima I tamne u misli ukopane zube. I hodamo šumom. Breze su vesele. Ti se stresaju kosove I žute kapi. I mi njuškamo statu zemlje. Je li vlaga ili se nadimaju vruća pluća. A Vuk je nekoć bio presvučen u učitelja glazbe. Dao otkaz I otkinuo list s grančice. Ispisao se s drveta kao nadahnuta jesen I ujeo svoju obitelj usrednjenog građanskog kruha I statusa. Sada, kad su posljedice ugriza u višestručene oči, kao da su svi do jednog postali marljivi filozofi svakodnevice, Vuk ili breza ili učitelj glazbe uzeo je predah da otpleše gavotu neke posuđene ptice. A mi smo mu noć.
Le loup et le bouleau. Nous voyons une forêt et nous voyons des arbres, mais nous ne voyons pas le loup déguisé en bouleau, que nous appelons ainsi à cause des aiguilles vertes dans ses yeux et des dents sombres enfouies dans des pensées. Et nous marchons dans la forêt, les bouleaux sont joyeux. Des vifs secouent des merles et des gouttes jaunes, et nous flairons les attributs de la terre. Est-ce de l'humidité ou des poumons chauds qui enflent? Autrefois, le loup était déguisé en professeur de musique. Il a donné sa démission. Il a détaché une feuille d'une brindille. Il s'est désinscrit de l'arbre comme un automne exalté et a mordu sa famille en plein dans leur pain et leurs attributs bourgeois. À présent, quand les conséquences de la morsure sont des yeux multiples, on dirait que tous, jusqu'au dernier, sont devenus des philosophes assidus du quotidien. Loup ou boulot, ou professeur de musique, il a fait une pause pour danser, une gavotte à l'oiseau emprunté. Et nous sommes sa nuit.